Hello, my name is Ashlyn, and I'm going to be talking about some tips and suggestions on how to be successful in college, specifically as a psychology student at Anderson University. So I'm going to start with talking about tips for transitioning to college, like coming from home to college or just high school to college in general. The first one I have is Facebook. Get involved on Facebook. There are groups for people who are going to be graduating the same year as you and maybe even the same major as you, and that's a good way to meet people and connect with them. Also look through the school's website and get a feel for the vibe of the school, and you can also find a campus map on there, and that will help you be less nervous about having to find the places in person. Also get over your fear of asking for help, because most of the staff are really nice and they're more than willing to help you get to where you need to go if you're confused on where you are and stuff like that. If you live far from home, make sure to make a checklist so you don't forget anything. Luckily, I only lived for 45 minutes away from the school, so I didn't have to worry about that as much. But my roommate, she's from Wisconsin, and so it was very hard for her to get something if she leaves it there. And if you get homesick easily, you can always get something to remember the person that you miss the most, or you can make something with them and then have it with you always. I personally have a little teddy bear that I made with my cousin Cameron, because that's who I missed the most at the time. But we have matching Build-A-Bears now, and it always helps me if I cuddle with it, and it reminds me of her, and so I don't feel as far away from home. Also, my mom used to get us matching bracelets and necklaces and ankle bracelets and rings. She loved doing stuff like that because it helped us feel connected. The next topic is going to be tips for academic success. So my first tip is going to be go to a lot of CEPs and chapels your first couple of years, because then you won't have to worry about it your senior year when you have more of your harder classes. I was fine on chapels, but I was missing 8 to 10 CEPs, and so it was really hard this semester to get those in, as well as getting my classwork done and with my internship. Another thing about CEPs is there's this one called the Ron Blue course, and it's 4 CEPs, and it's a Canvas course, and it helps you get those CEPs in good, and it's very easy. Another tip is know how to work self-service. Self-service is going to be used a lot. That's where you register for classes, that's where you apply for graduation. You can see your transcript on there, and it's very important to know how to work it. Another tip I have is to get close with your advisors and your teachers. They're there for you, and they're there to help you. And it's your choice. It's up to you whether or not you want to use them and be there for them as well. Another tip I have is that it's okay if you don't know what you want to do yet. I went into it being an elementary education major, and I realized that's not what I wanted to do. And so it wasn't necessarily a waste of time, but I took up some spaces for classes where I could have been taking general classes instead of education classes. That way it would transfer better. Another tip is learn your study habits and study methods. I still don't know mine that well, but it just depends on the different classes. But make sure you know how to study or know what works best with you for you to get all of your work done. The last tip I have for this topic is talk to the people that are in your class and form connections with them. They're going through the same work as you are, and they're normally going to be in all of the same classes as you. But yeah, that's all I have for tips for academic success. So the next topic is tips for social success. The first one I have is to join groups or get involved with clubs, specifically the Behavioral Science Club. That's a club for psychology students. If you're religious, you can also join small groups, or you can get involved with campus ministries. You can also work on campus. There's a lot of different job options. They normally send out emails about where's hiring and where you could work. That's a good way to meet people because they're also AU students. You can also sit in the student center and meet people that way. That's what I used to do. I used to sit in there and do my homework, and I would just talk to people that walked by or that looked at me. You can also join intramural teams. Sorry, Jester wants to be in the video. You can also join intramural teams. That's a good way to meet people who have the same interest as you. And it's just a fun thing to do in general. I did volleyball. I did the intramural team for volleyball whenever I was a freshman. You can also talk to people who live on the same hall as you. I'm still friends with the people I met freshman year that lived in my hall. I'm going to 3 of their weddings, and I talk to most of them still. And I met my best friend that way. It's just a really good way to meet people. And the next section I'm going to talk about is tips for spiritual success. The easiest way to do this is get involved with campus ministries. We have a lot of different ones on campus. We have FCA, BCM, RUF, and you can join small groups, or you can help out. They have different sections in there that you can help out with. You can also get involved with churches that are in the area. That's a good way. I think someone has a list of churches and what denomination they are somewhere in their office. Sorry, I'm not sure who it is, but I know somebody does. You can join small groups for RUF or FCA or BCM. I did that my sophomore year, and it was a good way to not only be more spiritual, but it was also a good way to meet more people. You can also find time or put time in your schedule for Bible studies, either with your friends or by yourself. My freshman year, I used to sit outside in front of Pratt, and I would do Bible studies by myself. It's a good way to just get in the Word and get outside. The last thing I'm going to talk about are sources that I found helpful for me while I was a college student. The first one being Quizlet. You can make your own, and there have different ways that you can study using the things that you put on there. Also, a lot of Quizlets are already made, and you can share them around easily. Not to use on tests or anything, just to study with. The Student Center is also another source that's helpful. That's basically where everything is, if I'm being honest. There's also the Student Success Center and the Writing Lab, which I've used a lot. And also, as I mentioned earlier, Facebook. It's a good way to get connected with people and just meet people that way. I hope these tips were helpful for you in some way. Thank you for watching. I wish you the best in college.